I refused David Letterman's proposal of marriage for obvious reasons, but thanks for asking. Take a step back, evaluate what is important, and enjoy life. You have to find out what's right for you, so it's trial and error. You are going to be all right if you accept realistic goals for yourself. You have to lift your head up out of the mud and just do it. I always say don't be scared. It's not that bad, there's always something worse, and there is definitely life after multiple sclerosis. Elvis used to have parties at his house, and I've told this story a million times, but they weren't really parties, because there was no chips or dip. Just Elvis and his boys watching TV, and him making funny comments, and everybody laughing at them. Is that a party? Not really, but that's Hollywood. If you get a diagnosis, get on a therapy, keep a good attitude and keep your sense of humor. I have an enormous fondness for delicious food. It's very comforting. I have worked enough and I am happy to be touring the country speaking about living with MS to give people inspiration and motivation to help themselves. I was in an acting class taught by Eric Morris, and Jack Nicholson was in the class. He wrote the script for Head, so all of us in the class got little tiny parts in the movie. Speaking out about multiple sclerosis to others who may be dealing with this disease is actually helpful to me as well as, I hope, to others. It builds community, helps bring awareness to MS, and strengthens the MS movement that will ultimately lead to the end of this disease. I don't want to sound hoity-toity, but people told me I should watch Cheers because it's very funny. So I watched it, and I just went, this is the great show of the universe? To me, acting is making characters believable, not just doing jokes. I feel very badly about anybody that's sick and in a wheelchair or not doing well. But you know, you have to go, life is a poker game, and we're going to play our cards somehow. People ask me about my limp. I say, you know, I don't know how bad it is, because I don't watch myself. I don't look at it. I don't. If you get your foot in the door doing one kind of part, that's the kind of role they call you for. I can't say I resent it, then I would resent my whole career. When you hear the word disabled, people immediately think about people who can't walk or talk or do everything that people take for granted. Now, I take nothing for granted, but I find the real disability is people who can't find joy in life and are bitter. My mother was a rockette at Radio City. There were symptoms that I saw, and though I went to many doctors and had many tests, no one diagnosed MS. I was in love with Michael Keaton. He was very funny. I try to laugh as much as possible and enjoy the company of people who can make me laugh. I've always had this American Pie face that would get work in commercials. I'd say things like, "Hi, Marge, how's your laundry?" and, "Hi, I'm a real nice Georgia peach." Sometimes this work is one step above being a cocktail waitress. Usually, the extras have a different mentality. I had the mentality of an artist, because I was a ballerina. But most extras are out to make a fast buck for nothing. They're atmosphere. Oddly enough, MS has made my life so much better than it was before. I now appreciate what I have and I am not running around like a rat in a maze. This new movie, Full Moon in Blue Water, I love the idea of working with Gene Hackman, who is a great actor, but when I read the script, I threw it right into the trash can, because I didn't like this woman. She was just a doormat. There are several drugs out right now that can't stop multiple sclerosis, but they can slow it way down. They also made me puff up like a balloon, so I looked horrible. I hated that. I understand how hard it is to talk to people about MS. You don't want pity or random advice. Any movie I've ever made, the minute you walk on the set they tell you who's the person to buy it from. I recently saw the movie about Ray Charles, and there's a scene where he falls down and the mother doesn't help him. She says, "I don't want anyone to treat you like a cripple. I've fallen down before," and Molly will say, "Get up and just go." My mother was a real tough cookie. She raised the three of us, and she worked at the same time. I'm wondering if they haven't reported all the people with MS, because if all of the cases were reported, the government would have to step in and give more financial aid to us. I plan to live to be 120. 75% of MS sufferers are women. I talked once with Harrison Ford about Wright's houses and how impressive they are. I do Pilates a lot. I don't do a lot of cardiovascular stuff. I'm really grateful for my dancer's discipline. You can keep it to yourself, but you could also call a support team like the team at MS Lifelines. They are there to support the MS community and give good advice. I take one of the interferon therapies, Rebif. I go to my physical therapist to keep fighting it, and one of them told me if you don't use it, you lose it, but I know we're on television so I won't say what I would often say. I've always been this insane. Isn't that interesting? I think eventually they're going to find out that MS is like 10 different things. I have a neurological disease something like MS, and it's MS, so let's take medicine for it. I have been off the motorcycles for about 20 years now, but that doesn't mean I can't still do it. In addition to having a good partnership with a good doctor, you have to do some of the work yourself. Go online, read about it, and find out what you can tolerate. I don't consider that I have to judge any of the movies I make all the time, but people are always asking me, what's your favorite movie, and I never know what to say. My doctor said, for want of a better word, now that we've got medicines out here that can help, let's put you on one of them and say we're treating MS. People aren't so interested in seeing movies about women's problems. You can be diagnosed and treated early, and there is hope for the future. Speed bumps, I was thinking, you know, you're driving along, everything's okay, and then there's a speed bump to go, slow down. Go over it real slowly, and you hit the pedal, and you keep going, and I just thought it was kind of a nice metaphor for life. I danced in a company of West Side Story when I was very young. It was most of the original cast, Larry Kurt, Chita Rivera, and Jerry Robbins directed. It was tough, a wonderful initiation for me. There's always going to be somebody worse off than me. I want to write more, because I think I've got a story to tell. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.